Welcome back to the Choly Night Backpack, the Dragon Plushes. This is the second part of my two-part series. First part, we focused on making just the front. Now we're going to finish up with making the back and put it all together. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We are going to start constructing the back. So you are going to need your zipper cut to pattern specifications. You're going to need your zipper tabs, and you're going to need your zipper pull. I would recommend that you go ahead and put your zipper pull on your zipper, and then we will come right back. Once you get your zipper pulls on, you're going to use your zipper tabs. They are going to go face down on the zipper teeth, and then we are going to take them to the machine and we're going to sew them on at 1/4 inch. We're going to do that for all of the zipper tabs, just like this. Straight to the machine. From this point, you're going to need the head back and head back. You're going to need the head back bottom, you're going to need the head back top for the white dragon or the black dragon or both. You're going to need your zipper tabs, you're going to need your linings. Now at this point, all bag makers should know you need to find your centers. Do not make big notches, just make little tiny snips so you can find and line everything up. Double-sided tape is not going to work on this, so you're going to need clips, pins, however you want to attach it. So go ahead, take this time and find your centers on these pieces, including your zipper tape. Once you find your centers, a good thing to go ahead and get done so it's out of the way is print that pattern piece if you're working on the white one, and go ahead and trace your squares on the back of the top piece, because you just don't want to have any issues with it not being there. So like you can see on the black one, it's very visible. You can see it on the white one, you can't. So go ahead and take care of that too while you're doing all the things. So with the bottom piece facing up, you're going to want to put your zipper tape facing down. All right, and now the way I like to do it is so that it, it closes to the left, opens to the right. You can do it either way you want to do it. So I'm going to put my zipper tape down. I'm going to line it up with the center marks we made. Just a quick call out is that the pattern says that stabilizer is optional. It is optional throughout this entire pattern. If you were going to use it, I would recommend using it at this point. I am not using it. But if you were going to, this is where I would do it. Now you can absolutely go ahead and base this on, or you can go ahead and put the lining on. Now for the Light Fury, that's going to be the light blue, and you want the lining to face down. Now we're going to repeat the same thing, except this time we're going to use the back top. We're going to line it up in the center. And then you're going to flip it over. And then you will use your second lining and you will line it up. So then you're going to stitch that down in a 1/4 seam allowance, just like you did the other side. Once you get the headpiece zipped on, you may want to open this up and kind of press using a gentle press to press these open, just so you can flatten these seams a little bit. But then you're going to want to take this to the machine and you're going to want to stitch the 2 pockets together, getting as close as you can to the zipper without actually sewing on this piece of fabric. So you just want to sew your zipper linings together, closing them up again, getting as close to the zipper as you can. So this next part, you are going to want to get your tail fins. You're going to put right sides together, and then we are going to stitch around, leaving the big flat side open so that we can turn this out. You're going to do that for both the Toothless and the Light Fury versions. Like on other things that's had points, you're going to want to go ahead and trim your seam allowance down on the tail fins. So I will go ahead and do that. So now we're going to be placing our spikes on. You want your long spikes to go along the ridge, so like be aerodynamic here. So it goes like the like leaner, more front goes toward the body. So I'm going to line that up with the dark indicated marks. And then I'm going to clip that on. And then also you're going to attach your tail. You're going to want to do these one at a time. And you're going to baste all of these on. Once you get these basted on, you're going to want to fold these little bitty tails up and possibly clip them on. And then you're going to sew this over. And you want to be very careful because you don't want to sew them to this tail. You don't want to sew your flaps to this tail. So we're going to baste these on and then we will come back and do this. But you're going to do the same thing for the Light Fury version. Then you are going to line this up and you are going to clip this down. So that you don't sew it. So we're going to take this to the machine. I'm going to sew all the way around 1/4 inch and then we will come back and I will unstuff this so you can see it before we stuff it up with some guts. But it's going to look super cute when it's done. Once you get your tails sewed together and you've got your fin on, see, doesn't that look cute already? And here's the Toothless version. I didn't finish poking him all the way through. You're going to want to lightly stuff these So just give it a good stuffing. You don't want to be too full here, as this is going to be against your back when you wear the backpack. So don't be too bulky. You want to also keep stuffing out of this right here, because this is where we're going to sew it to the back of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my stuffing. It's right here. You're going to want to grab your back body pieces. This is where you're going to use the last of your fins and where we're going to place our tail. So going ahead and jumping on the fin, I'm going to line this up with the markings that are already there. And I'm going to clip that down. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the dragon tail. The dragon tail you're going to want it facing up toward where the spines are kind of touching 90 degree-ish here. I'm going to line it up with its markings. So then I'm going to base these together, and then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to sew these together at 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and line the toothless version up as well. When you get to this part, what we have to do next is we have to attach the back of the head. So here is the head for the toothless, and here is the head for the light fury. You are going to literally just flip this around, and then we are going to line up these corners. Now, there is a section on this that is colored on both the light and the dark fury. That is your turning hole. You want to leave that open, so when you are sewing, make sure you backstitch before and at the other end. Really good when you're attaching these, so that you know, it doesn't give way when we're trying to turn it. So what that looks like is you're going to sew from this point to this point, backstitching really good at the beginning and the end. So I am going to be doing the adjustable backpacks, which means I'm going to be using the webbing with the webbing rings. And when I'm placing that, you can print the pattern out and you can put the markings on the bag where these go. It does come out to be roughly about, if you line up the bottom, it's about 2 inches from the bottom if you flat surface it. And then you're going to stick this, the webbing's going to stick out about 1.5 inches. So that's where I'm going to put it. Make sure you go back and forth over them really good, because this is a plushy material. You don't want those threads to pull out. So sew over them really well. So for this step, you can do one of two things. One, you can just thread it through your slider like so, about 1 inch, or I'm gonna say 1 inch, and you can sew this down with a nice stitch going back and forth, or you can do rivets. I prefer rivets, which means I'm going to pull this through just a little bit more. I'm going to double fold this over, and then I'm going to press that down. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't notice that this webbing I am using from K&A, it is reversible! And it's got the light fury and toothless! It's like amazing. I'm like geeking out over here. I'm going to be using my rivet guide from Geeky Hardware. And then I'm going to make a couple marks so that I can hole punch this evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and set my rivet. So I'm going to thread this through the rectangle ring here. Going to take it up through my slider. We'll take it down to the slider. Now this is where I said earlier Now on the white one, you cannot see these squares, so you're going to need to use like a washable pen or an erasable pen or something that's going to disappear to draw those squares back on using the pattern piece. But then you are going to fold this over about an inch-ish, and then you're going to sew this down to that square. And you will do that for both straps. A little bit of correction here. So this will fold this way, and then you will line that up with your box. And then with the strap facing upward, you will sew your box right there. So the strap needs to be going upwards when you sew your box. When we get to this point, you're going to want to grab your face and you're going to want to lay it face down on top. And then you are going to line up all of your points, like your neck points, making sure you're tucking in your tail, and you're going to, like, your neck seam is a good landmark. You're going to line those all up because we're going to stitch these together. We're going to go all the way around at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come right back. These are our little mummy dolls. So we're going to go around the entire bodies, and we are going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You want to make sure that you have your pockets rolled up out of the way so you don't sew those down. So let's go to the machine, get those sewed up, and then we'll come back and turn them out. Once you have it all stitched together, you do want to make some incisions. You don't want to cut the threads. You just want to kind of snip these corners here to make it a little bit easier to turn out. Just enough so that it's not going to cut the threads out. Then from your hole, you're going to turn this thing out. Now the easiest thing to do would be one appendage at a time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on the head. Well, I guess that was the body. So focus on the body, and then I will do the head. I will go through and clean up any stray threads that are sticking out. Like here at the webbing, that needs cleaned up. But other than that, it looks like we are good to go ahead and start the stuff. Once we get this flipped out, we are going to start stuffing. You're going to stuff downwards. You do want to keep in mind that this pocket needs to be able to fit inside the body, because that's where we're going to be putting all of our stuff. So what I will be doing is I will stuff with my hand inside, so I can make sure I'm stuffing around the pocket. And then I'm also going to start stuffing around the head. This does take quite a bit of time and a lot of stuffing, so just take your time and don't get frustrated. It's going to turn out really cute when it's all done. Looks adorable. So what we got to do now is we have to ladder stitch the neck close. So you are going to need a needle and matching thread. So I got my needle, get my thread. So this is where we are going to ladder stitch. Make sure you've got some coordinating thread and your needle. I'm going to slide it into the seam, back here. And I'm just going to take my time and ladder stitch this together. Once you get the back all ladder stitched, you think you're almost done. You could be if you want to be, but you're not. The next thing we have to do are the horns. This is officially the last thing we got to do. So we take and we put our right sides together. We are going to sew these at 1/4 of an inch all the way around. We are going to flip these out, and then we're going to stuff them really good. And when we get there, I'll come right back and show you what we do next. After you get the ears sewn and stuffed, what you're going to do is you're going to cinch this closed, and you're just going to weave it back and forth over a needle and thread. I'm going to pull it really nice and tight, and then just so it makes sure it doesn't come undone, I'm going to use the thread that I left long from my knot to tie it closed. So that's what those ears look like when they are finished. So after you get these cinched up, now you are going to ladder stitch them on to your backpack. So they need to be butt up against the horns that we already attached earlier. So when you put them on, you are going to line your seams up with the existing seam, make it a little easier for you. And then you're going to ladder stitch it all the way around. When you're doing placement, just place it to where you think it looks the nicest and sew it on. And after all that ladder stitching and stitching and stitching and more stitching, we finally have these cuties patooties ready to go. Hey everybody, I want to thank you for sewing today with me as we made the Choly Night So Designé Dragon Backpack. These little cuties finish about 28 inches long tip to tail and about 13 to 15 inches wide, depending on how you squish them, because they are squishy. They have this super cute pocket that you could just shove anything and everything in there. And they just, I don't know, they're just so cute. I can't get enough of them. They're just too much. They're just too much, and I love them. I hope that you love them as much as I do, and make sure as you make yours that you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and, of course, your girl out in the wild. If you like what you see, make sure you like and subscribe, and for now, ta-ta!